We didn't say who's going to talk first. So, hello, everyone. My name's Hank Subtle. I'm the Sonic Shaman, and I'm here. Been invited here to do a talk on tuning forks with my dear friend and my Yanitan on the path, Melissa, with Goddess of Week.
Hello.
Hello. And if you would take a moment, if you get value out of these streams, please share it. So let me go ahead. I'm going to start broadcasting to my pages too, because we forgot to add those. And we'll do that. And we'll do that.
All your pages.
All kinds of fun places, yeah. And we'll save it. Here we go.
But in the meantime, I store all of us here, said, Hank, help everybody out and understand the tuning forks, especially the chakra sets that we just got in.
Yeah, so tuning forks are amazing things. And just to kind of give you an overview, the way that it works is your chakra has a range of healthy frequencies. And if you're out of balance, one way that you can bring yourself into balance is through the frequency of a healthy chakra. That it's called sympathetic resonance. So you ring the frequency of a heart chakra, for example, and it helps the heart chakra come into resonance and become healthier and actually go to the vibration that it's supposed to be. So that's what these tuning forks are all going to do. And we're going to demonstrate all kinds of wonderful little tones and everything and how you can use them on a kind of an entry level basis. And if you guys are interested, I'm sure I could sweet talk Melissa into having some more elaborate class so that we can go over more advanced techniques. She's like, oh crap, what
you want me to do what?
So we have a few people just making comments. Hello, everybody. Good evening. We got Sandy Owens saying hello, Elizabeth, Colleen, Rhonda. Thank you all for joining the stream. So where would you like to start with the forks? Anyone in particular?
If somebody is brand new, like, why would this be a good tool for a beginner?
Well, one thing is, like, especially if you don't have any other tools in your toolbox, it's something physical that you can take with you. And especially like the crystal tuner, that's the one fork I carry with me all the time. And if you have anything going on with any of the chakras, third eye, if you just went by somebody that is kind of spouting off hucha, we call it, like heaviness, and they're polluting your energy space, one crystal tuner bringing it, and it's just like energetic sage. And you can also actually use a crystal on that. Where did I put my crystal? Oh, here's my beautiful little smoky amethyst with a little, it's kind of cool stuff. But you can also just activate it on a crystal tuner. And as we start going through the chakra centers, like say you have an empath and their solar plexus is particularly sluggish because of all the extra crap that they're carrying from all the people, places, and things that they're aware of. With a crystal tuner, it helps to break up the heavy energy. So you just activate that and you could just use it on one of your chakras or energy centers. It doesn't have to just be chakras. It could be any energy centers, meridian points, Maui's, which is another system out of South America. So that is like a great beginner fork if you need nothing else, and a very useful fork.
And you don't necessarily have to touch yourself with the fork. It's just in the area. It's
just in the area. That's why I know Melissa gets sells a lot of these around the time college kids go to campus, because they can't burn sage necessarily. Mm-hmm. And this works just as well. It shifts the entire vibration of the space. So you kind of pling out any unwanted energies and entities and things of that nature. And if you guys have questions as we go through these, feel free to ask them in the comments. We are happy to address things as we go through.
And quickly too, speaking of, for the crystal tuner, when the country is open and we're allowed to travel again, hotel rooms,
yeah,
rental cars,
ooh, yes,
things of like that. If you
I even took it to Disney with me when I went down to Florida. We were in Disneyland, and you had like that one guest like that just got thrown out of line for trying to jump the fast pass, and they're spouting their hucha, bing, and it just kind of clears the air, and it just creates this uplifting vibration, and it helps to transform the energies. It's not just plinging it out, it's actually lightening up, because everything is light. It's just hucha is condensed light, and when you have a high vibration like that, it takes that condensed energy, just like a jackhammer busting up concrete, and starts to enlighten that energy so it can go back into flow. So you're actually doing a great service, not to just like your energy centers and getting things flowing for yourself. You're helping to clean up the environment and not just move it somewhere else. Not like those neighbors with the leaf blowers and they're just blowing the leaves and it becomes somebody else's problem, right? It's actually taking the leaves and transmuting them so they're not just blowing around, becoming someone else's problem. It shifts the whole energy and vibration. And let's see, I love my crystal tuner, says Colleen. So we have one advocate of the crystal tuner. And Elizabeth says, are we getting the benefit by watching? I have headphones on. You are. With headphones, you're going to be getting the frequency. It's a little bit better if you have like a speaker system when it comes to like a distance sound healing, because it's hitting your body in different levels. But it's still like just hearing it, it's still going to be better than nothing at all. You do get some benefit. Oh, we could go off on a tangent. You got to keep me on point. But we could do another stream on binaural beats. Binaural beats with headphones is amazing, and we can do another live stream about that. The second fork that Melissa carries normally, and this is also related to the chakras, is Om, 136.1. This is the Earth's orbit through the solar system every time it goes around the sun. 136.1 is the frequency of that. And 136.1 in the chakra set is for the heart chakra. So this is a weighted one, and the weighted one, you're probably not, let's see, you might be able to hear it. Elizabeth, you can tell me if you can hear the Om with the Yeti microphone. But that means osteophonic means to vibrate bone. And so when you have the weighted forks, you activate it on your hand, and you can place it right on the heart, or you can place it right on the third eye. And it's a really versatile fork because you could look up any acupressure point you'd like and combine it with an osteophonic fork for headaches, migraines. When my wife had our second child, she had terrible sciatica. I looked up the points for sciatica and did one session with a fork just like this, and she hasn't had it again. So there's immense benefit. I know we had a veterans event one time, and someone came in with a headache, and just looking up the acupressure points with one weighted fork hit all the headache points, and within minutes the headache was gone. Mm-hmm. So that's like the second most versatile fork for someone just starting out. You don't know what energy path to pick. This one right here is a great one to go with. And the other beautiful thing about any of the sound stuff is that it's a bridging modality. So like someone like my parent, my in-laws on my wife's side, like that would be in-laws, they think I'm absolutely crazy, but because there's science behind the sound and aromatherapy, because I do aromatherapy as well, they could wrap their head around the science part of it. So the science would be when you activate a fork like that, it creates a cellular response in your body called puffing, and it releases nitric oxide, which is good for inflammation. It's good for pain. It's good for circulation. So even people who don't even know what a chakra is, don't care what a chakra is, they still get a physiological benefit. And if it works for them for that, they can maybe become more open up to the other energetic qualities. And so like my father-in-law even told me once, he's like, Hank, I don't understand everything you do, but maybe you're not so crazy, because I gave them something that worked. And it became a door for them to start entering into a whole different world of possibility and energy work and all that kind of stuff. Let's see.
Now, if somebody were using that one, like one thing that we have to tell people is you don't activate the fork hard enough to clap the weights together.
Yeah. And it's not such a problem with a smaller one like this, but there's some forks that are longer that if you hit it, you'll actually hear the two weights come together. It goes clank. And if you did that, it's too hard. But just with a smaller one, typically just the fleshy part of your hand or the side part of your knee, and either one of those is going to start it perfectly. And then if you want to get two of them, I love ending my healing sessions with one on either side of the shoulders. So not only are they hearing it, they're getting the sound of Om going through their whole body. And that's a great way to ground someone before they have to drive after a healing. So that's the Om fork. Okay. And now getting into the actual chakra set. When you ever get them from Goddess Elite, they're all from MetaVibe. It's made in the USA. They're 99.9% aluminum alloy, which is really important with sound healing. You don't want steel forks because the frequency, it doesn't have the overtones. It might be the perfect fundamental tone, but with the healing work, it's the tones in between the tones. It's the combination of things playing off of each other to create these little intervals of sound, and it really comes out beautifully. But they all come in a little pouch. You can buy them individually or the whole set. And then this is for Earth Star Low. And interestingly enough, if you were to just pick 3 chakra forks, because she sells them individually, this one octave up is the heart, 136.1. 1 octave up is the soul purpose. So if you think of in shamanism, the tradition that we practice, the heart is the center of Munai, which is a combination of will and love expressed. And so the heart is the place where you're actually manifesting everything into the world by the declaration of your will and your intention. And by using the Earth Star, the Soul Star, and the middle, you're kind of bringing yourself in different octaves that you're manifesting on different levels of consciousness, different planes. And it just becomes more congruent would be the word. You're manifesting on body, mind, spirit, and not just, with thought, word, and deed, which is in the physical plane. So with these ones, the way that you would activate them is you just hold your finger a little bit hard, applying a little bit of pressure. And when you pull it out, you can then activate the fork perfectly. So you can hopefully hear that a little bit. And the way that you would use this with a client, if somebody was sitting here in front of me, you can get little O-rings from the hardware store if you like, if you have a hard time holding it. But when you activate them, you can actually use them somewhat like a pendulum. And when the chakra's out of balance, you'll notice it's going all kind of crazy. And as it comes in sync, it will start going back and forth. And that's when you know the chakra is balanced. You could also use crystals if you'd like to. If you have it, say, on the behind them, use any sort of chakra set. I know you have those ones, which you probably didn't bring over here, did we?
The stones.
Yeah.
I can go grab them.
Oh, you can grab it. But she has those sets that it has one stone for each chakra. And so you could, like if you're working on somebody's front, you could be holding a stone on the back, and you could be using the fork, and then with the addition of the crystal, you're just helping that crystal come into the sympathetic resonance of being a healthy chakra frequency. So that's Earth Star. I'm going to jump to the heart one. This is for 136.1. It's the same frequency as this weighted one. You can just see the difference. And that's why it's a little bit longer. When you want to have a weighted fork, you don't need it as long to get the same tone. So these are the exact same frequency, 136.1, but now you'll be able to hear it a lot more audibly. So hopefully you can hear it. I'll be interested to watch this later to see how well the Yeti microphone is performing here. All right, so this is a beautiful chakra set. It's even hearts. How cool is that? So hopefully you can see it a little bit. And so if we're working on the heart chakra, like if Melissa was right here in front of me sitting here, and this is her back and this is the front, I could be holding the heart chakra in the back in the appropriate location, activate the fork, and this like using it like a little pendulum, allowing the fork to bring that chakra into resonance. And the crystal is just adding potency. You don't have to have it, but I like to have it. And people really resonate with crystals. And then if you were running into something else, the stone itself has all kinds of other qualities. So if you have somebody working on physical healing, like aventurine, it's a great physical healing stone. So now you have a tool in your toolbox that is very versatile. And you can start adding things like that you know they work together, but you could also use them independently. And you could also use it as a place where you can take the weighted fork, activate it, place it on the crystal, and now you're sending the vibration right into the heart center with the weighted one through the crystal. So you're adding, again, it's just adding potency. And all of this is a physical representation of your intention. Intention drives it all. I say any fork can do anything because you're telling the fork your job is to balance this energy center, but they all have their specialties. Just like my friend Ryan gives the example, everybody could throw a baseball. Not everybody could throw it 100 miles per hour and hit a square this big. So they all have their potencies and their little areas of specialty. But if you were in a pinch, you could use one fork and have the intention to balance anything. So that's that Om. And then Soul Star. This is the chakra above the crown. And this is what I'll give you the first demonstration of what you do is you would have 3 forks that you could have in your hand at once if you're working on yourself or a client. I like activating them all just slightly. And now you'll get tones coming out of the tones when you start clinging them together, always at the 90-degree angle, right where the corners meet. Your sound's better further away than next to it. Okay, good to know. You know, this microphone is like crazy good too. I forget like how good it is sometimes. You activate them, and then you have the tones interacting, and the tones interacting create all kinds of other physiological benefits. And that's we could do a whole separate video on the science behind the sound, but it's a principle called acoustic levitation. And the Cliff Notes version is when you start combining frequencies like this, it creates sacred geometry in the water molecules of your body. So we get a little nerdy without going into the details. But no, like when you start mixing things like that, it's just adding a ton of great potency to the experience. And so that's those 3 chakras. And so if you were just doing that, you're balancing the 3 octaves of the heart chakra. Because my personal theory on chakras is it isn't necessarily like an 8th and a 9th and a 10th. What if it's the same chakra in existence in a different plane? It's just an octave up. And we have the appearance that it's another chakra, but what if it's the same chakra in existence in another plane? And it's just octaves up, which kind of is supported with the set. Let's see. What other questions? Because
Yeah, feel free to ask questions, guys.
Yep.
He's going to answer them live. I'm just going to sit here and let him do the work.
Yeah, I'll stop reaching for the mic. I got that feedback from a couple people. This is the first live stream where we've actually had tuning forks in the microphone. So like, we're having a little of a a learning curve.
You guys are the guinea pigs for us.
You're the guinea pigs. Yeah. Now, one thing we can talk about too is once, if you were to get the whole set, the technique, and I can demonstrate it more in depth in the class, you pick whatever chakra frequency you want to integrate throughout the whole body. And I would call it the boss fork. And traditionally, you could start with the root chakra, and you'll use the root chakra fork at every single application. So you would start with the root, balance that one by itself, and then you would add in the sacral. And then you would use those two together and balance up the back and down the front eventually. You would keep the root.
Is it always up the back and down the front? Is it ever up the front and down the back?
It all depends on your intuition. So healing is an art, and protocols are there for until you develop your own knowing around things. If you don't have your own knowing, for you to go through a process. But just like driving a car, at first you have to think about everything and you're really over analyzing things, and then it just becomes fluid. And that's how tuning forks are. You might start with a protocol and then you'll go totally off script, because also the chakras are all interrelated to one another. So like you might have the symptom of a solar plexus being all clogged up, but the real problem is a person's bleeding heart, getting caught up in other people's stories and the trauma and drama. And the real place where they need to have the work done is the heart chakra, but the symptom is manifesting in the solar plexus. Just to give you one example, or speaking your truth, people who hold back. And then that goes down to the solar plexus. Is it a solar plexus issue, or is the cause the throat chakra and the symptom is occurring somewhere else? So those are all just little examples. It's not always, how you would think about it textbook style. But protocols is where you start. But you would start with the root, where say someone really needs the heart integration, the heart could be the boss fork, and you would use the heart and the root, then the heart and the sacral, heart and the solar plexus, and so on, and just kind of feel it out that way. Let's see. Oh, Jennifer was saying, I feel that in my chest. It feels amazing. See, I guess it works, definitely works over the thing. So this is root and solar plexus. Just giving you a little taste of that. I know Melissa's cringing. She hates tones. I'm like, I get to torture Melissa.
High pitched noise, yes.
Well, then, that's a little.
But this isn't too bad. It's when they're really, really.
Oh, let's see. We want the heart
going high.
Here's my heart chakra. Here we go. So now it's root and heart. So you're getting a little. So it's always the reason I do that. Once you have them activated, they're already vibrating, and then it's almost like you just bounce them off of each other lightly. It's like bouncing a trampoline, and you get a much cleaner hit. And you just bring that energy up again. Again, we're keeping the boss fork, putting the crown down, and now we're going to the throat. Now, say you're working on somebody, and you're or just yourself. And today, all of a sudden, when you activate the fork, it just sounds flat. What that means is there's like particularly heavy energy that's occurring. And when that happens, you can grab your crystal tuner, you can activate that, you work on it a little bit further, breaking up the heavy energy. And then when you activate the forks, you'll hear that the tones now are where you're used to hearing them. So it's just like, especially if someone had a traumatic experience, they went through a life event, there could be extra heaviness involved, and you could use a crystal tuner like that. Or if you are an energy practitioner of some kind, there's tools in Reiki with the power symbol or emotional symbol. There's different tools that you could use, but the crystal tuner, you don't have to think about it, just ping and done. All right, so we'll put the throat down. Third eye, so root and third eye. And then like tap. And you just bring that energy up. Keeping the root, and then the crown. And then my favorite, well, they're all my favorite forks because I can't pick one.
It's like is
children.
there a fork you don't like?
No, there's not. They all have, I have over 500 forks. And there's literally, it's like the Apple App Store. There's an app for that. There's a fork for that. No matter what it is. There's organ forks.
Mercury retrograde fork.
Right? Well, kind of, yeah. There's planetary forks at different frequencies, and depending on how you use them with aspects of your natal chart, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Which is one thing that I did for, well, that will be more timely if we save that for a different video. Through the store, though, every month I'm going to offer like an astrology empowerment based on the planets. So whatever's going on in the cosmos, you can come in and I will do a tuning fork session specific to astrological events, because it's kind of like when these events occur, If you're not conscious with it, you just kind of get smacked around with the planets, where this is an acclimation to the energy, so you can surf those waves of creation to wherever you like to go and create. So root and soul star. And that's also like the kind of like bridging into the higher self, the Antakrana, the bridge of consciousness. And then the final thing you can really do with them, in the short time we have to kind of illustrate it, you keep your boss fork out, and as many as you can hold at a time. You can be little Edward Scissorhands, except this is tuning forks, and you hold as many as you can. Hold as many as you can in your hand. And I'm good at this because I've been doing it a while, but you get a little finger strength and you can, get all crazy with it. I activated the fork on my knee, and then actually I like doing this. You still activate them all just briefly. So they're all going just a little bit. Final fork at a light knee tap, and then you just kind of create a symphony of sound, tapping intuitively whatever combination the person needs. And then they're getting the symphony of all of them. And the chakra frequencies in this set in particular are all based on planets. It's based on the frequency, a couple different frequencies of Earth. It's based on the Platonic year, which is like the time for all of these planets to come back into the same position that they were before. It's like every 64,000 years. There's Mercury for the throat. Venus is the third eye. The sacral is for the moon. So all of them have different planetary references. So if you do know about astrology, and we can go into this in a different video, there could be a whole nother application of these based on what's going on astrologically. So this is doubling not only as a chakra set, but bridging into astrological astrology work you could do as well. So cool. So what questions do you guys have? We've been going, I was trying to keep this shorter because no one wants to watch an hour-long live stream on how to use tuning forks, right? But this is like an introduction to kind of give a, dip your toes into the world of sound. And literally there's 500 different forks. So if these aren't your thing, I guarantee you Melissa has something that might be your thing. Or like the angel set is a great set too. That's helps you connect to your guides, teachers at the beginning of a session, bring in the beings of light to work with somebody, which is an amazing little set too.
Well, one of the cool things with the angel set, one of those 3 forks is the crystal tuner.
Yep.
So you automatically get a crystal tuner in the angel set.
In the angel set, the crystal tuner is 4,096 hertz. And fun little trivia thing, if you've ever seen Ghostbusters, the scene where Peter Venkman is at the piano and he's playing that real high note on the piano is 4,096. And he's like, they hate this. So they even, the guy who played Ray, he was actually in the occult, and he grew up in mediumship circles and everything like that. So I wonder how much of an influence they had in actually putting little useful facts sprinkled throughout the movie, because it is energetic sage. It's a great tool to use. Play each chakra again, please. Okay, we can do that. So first, this is Earth Star. So this will be the chakra below the root chakra. And just to activate a little bit more. All right, I can hear better now with that. And now they're all out of order. I will find the next one. The next one will be the root. Heart, throat. They're all labeled, fortunately, so you can find it. Root, 194.18 hertz. And the root is also an earth frequency. It's the vibration of the earth in its rotation. So where Om is the orbit around the sun, this is more the axis rotation of the planet. And then the sacral, solar plexus, we got this one, soul star. Here we go. And this one is the moon frequency. Makes sense also with emotions and creativity. Solar plexus. Solar plexus, I believe, is the frequency of the sun. And it says, will you need a new earth chakra fork since the Schumann resonance is changing? No, because these aren't based on the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance ones is the solar harmonic set. And that was based on an 8-cycle fundamental. And there is an argument for that one where they say, well, it's not a relevant set anymore because the Schumann resonance did fluctuate. But if you take 8 and go backwards, 8 is 4, 4 is 2, 2 is 1. The solar harmonic set is also kind of a breakdown of divinity. From the nothing comes to the everything. So I think it's still a relevant set. And because the Schumann resonance does fluctuate, it's impossible to have a fork for it because every day it's changing. It usually was around 7.84 and it's been trending up. But none of this, what I have talked about today, is based on the Schumann resonance. It's all different fluctuations, the actual rotation. The Schumann resonance is between the Earth and the atmosphere. So you got me to nerd out on that answer. So solar plexus. Next one is heart. And we will also, on the heart one, let's just do this combination again. This is the 3 heart frequencies together. Sorry, that was a little hard. And you might not be able to hear the subtle tones, but there's all these little microtones that start to occur because the sounds start interfacing with each other. And the way that I describe it is like there's tones that come out of the tones. There's been times during a session that I've heard these forks a million times probably, and all of a sudden this tone comes out that I've never heard before. And what is occurring is they're actually interplaying off, or they're interacting with the person and their own frequencies and things like that. And you'll get this different sounds every time. It's really amazing. And you'll notice that the forks sound different at the beginning of the session and at the end of the session because the person's frequencies are fluctuating as you go. Next one will be the throat. I think it's over here. Throat is here. That's based on Mercury. Communication. One of my favorite quotes is, "Speak your truth, but soothe your words with peace." Next one is third eye, based on the planet Venus. And then the crown.
Based on.
The crown is based on the Platonic year, where all the planets are in the same origination points, but it only happens every 64,000 years. So. And also know that there's octaves of these. Like you can, I could have custom made for Melissa if you wanted like a super ohm set, for example. We could start even lower than the Earth star, go octaves below that, go way octaves high. Like the highest ohm fork is this big, and they call it like the ultra high ohm, and it sounds like the crystal tuner. It's so high. So you can really get elaborate if you really get into it. We custom order forks for people all the time. We have like the master sets, so it's like 111, 222, 333 that it doesn't exist on the market except when you custom make it. But my relationship with the manufacturer, I can have anything made. I don't have a minimum. If you want something created just for you, as long as it's not a proprietary frequency, because I've run into that before, we can have anything made for you. Basically, if you're called to use it, we can make it for you. Yeah. Any other questions? Because as you can tell, I can nerd out on sound all night long. If you've never been in my office, I literally have 21 crystal bowls and 500 tuning forks and gongs and chimes and bells, whistles. He's
a noisemaker,
flutes.
which is why
Yes.
I make him stay on the other side of the wall.
You also have. But let's see. What do you got to dissipate pain and promote healing, if I may ask? Well, any of the combination of forks will help to create nitric oxide release in the cells. It's a thing called puffing, which is a release of nitric oxide, and that can help with pain. You might have missed the beginning. You can use a weighted fork. This is called an osteophonic fork. It means to vibrate bone. And you can combine this with acupuncture points that you activate it, place it on the acupuncture points. And I gave the example earlier where my wife, after her childbirth, had bad sciatica. And one session with a fork like this, maybe 10 minutes of hitting the different points, the pain's been gone. So there's things like that you can do. And a lot of times physical pain is something that is happening because something metaphysically was happening first. And though it might not be instant, what we're doing when we take care of the chakras and things, we may be taking care of what the energies were, what was going on in the energy field that then became physical. And so it can roll down to the physical level as well. And that's why I like calling it oh yeah, someone that asked, do you have crystal pyramids too? I do. I have a couple of those. I have all the fun stuff. All the fun stuff.
If you'll they'll be able to come in and let you work with them during the coming psychic
True.
fair.
And someone had a question, how does someone own a frequency? It's not so much that they own the frequency, but if I went to my supplier and I had a very particular frequency, like the tuning forks that I'm having made for Ed Edwards, it's a very specific frequency, and I would give them the business, but saying like, these are forks that is specifically for biointrinsic resonant energy. And if someone then ordered a custom fork that happened to be that exact same thing, because this has happened to me before, I tried to order a custom fork for somebody, and it was somebody that had written a book and had a very specific frequency they came up with that also ordered from the same manufacturer. So I could go to a different manufacturer that doesn't have a contract with them and order a fork that's custom made. But through my supplier, if it is somebody who has a proprietary or like a contract for that frequency, that's the one case where I can't get a custom fork. But then if that's the case, you don't need a custom fork because it already exists in the market and you can just buy it. So that would be the caveat on that. Did not miss. Going to be there on the 31st. I will be. That's the psychic fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will be.
Sunday.
And she makes me stay on the side of the wall over there too. I bring
with the noise makers.
With the noise makers. So yeah, but I'll be there doing like little mini sessions, but with the bowls and everything like that. And if you want a longer session, you can always buy 2 tickets. But
well, and you're here on Thursdays too, so
yes,
you can always get...
I am here every Thursday as well. It's the only day of the week I take like walk-in clients or pre-booked through Goddess Sleep, but that's the one day where you can be random and just show up, and all the other times are by appointment. Let's see. Yep, it will be on the 31st. What's a good one for studying, focus, and memory, basically? So yeah, this is becoming all kinds of other topics, but binaural beats, there's different binaural beats that create the brain waves that you can go from theta to delta to alpha to beta. And I forget now which one is conducive for studying, but you would use the binaural beats to bring you into that place of focus. And you're also anchoring, like if you sit down to study and you always ring a fork or you always put on a particular scent for diffusing aromatherapy, that is going to create an anchor. And if you do that also on the test state, helps bring back the information. So there was an aromatherapy study. Lemon and rosemary were found for memory and recall, concentration and recall. Kids who used lemon while studying and during testing on average scored 7% higher. Now that's an aromatherapy thing, so we're jumping topics. And rosemary is, well, you sold aromatherapy, right? So you can get the stuff from Melissa. So it's on topic. It is a seller of things. You know, we're telling, it's information you can use anywhere, but it's also, she happens to have a store where you can buy all this stuff. So it's very convenient. But lemon and rosemary is a great combination of aromatherapy that can help with that too. So between the combination of concentration and concentration, memory, recall, yeah, those two. Mm-hmm. They even sell special pens that you can put drops of oil on. So as you're like writing in school, well, now they have, well, everything's a computer practically. But yeah, when I first started back in the day, not that I'm old, we had these pens, aromatherapy pens, and you could put the oils in the pen, and then when the student would take the test, they were basically inhaling the oils the whole time. So it was a way that they could make sure that they were bringing back that anchored studying experience. Let's see, any other questions? These are great questions, everyone. Thank you so much. Maybe we should have a regular sound hour or something, or we didn't really want to go an hour. And last call, any other questions? And if you're commenting on my Facebook profile, I didn't make it public. So if you're commenting, I'm not ignoring you. I don't see the comments coming into the studio. So my apologies if you were asking questions, and I will respond by typing back to you if there's any comments there. Any final questions before we hit the little video button and stream?
Is there a reason or an instance why somebody would not use tuning forks in a healing session?
For the weighted forks, if somebody has any sort of nerve damage, like if you were to use this on the spine or something and they happen to have a fractured vertebrae or anything like that, it could cause immense pain. So you would want to be mindful of a situation like that. But the audible tones, unless like if someone had a hearing aid, it might be really intense for them if all of a sudden you're plinging forks and they weren't expecting it. So you always want to be mindful. And the other thing is if you're going to be putting it right by the ear, you're not going to be ringing it that loud. That's way too loud to be right by the ear. It's just a little light knee tap. And it's more than, it's plenty loud for them to hear it right by their ears. And I do have some healer friends of mine who are hard of hearing, and they have the point of view that if they can't hear it, you can't hear it, which is wrong. You can hear it way before they would be able to. And they end up, I call it killing the forks. They hit them so hard because they want to be able to hear the frequency. and then it's blasting their client out. Because some people have greater sensitivity to tones. Like I'm very sensitive to tones. If someone just started really clinging forks, I would be like, don't kill the forks. So you always want to be mindful of being responsive to your clients in those situations. Let's see, off topic, but are you going to offer shaman classes this year? There's going to be an apprenticeship starting in May, and I am going to be teaching through Fellowships of the Spirit and Introduction to Shamanism, the Paco Kuna tradition, and teaching a couple energy techniques. That's going to be a virtual class offered through Fellowships in Lilydale. And then my teacher, Zane, we're starting a new apprenticeship in May, and we're going to be getting the information up about that. In the meantime, there is a breath class coming up on the 16th of February. You can find it at emergenceofbeing.com. And then Tuesday next week, we are doing a Magic of the Breath. It's a free Zoom call for people to kind of test the waters in the breath work, because tuning forks are great, aromatherapy is great. The one tool you always have, no matter your circumstances, your breath. And as a healer, that is like a profound tool to develop toning, breath work, all that good stuff, because no matter where you go, you are there. Even if you're being held as a prisoner of war, you can still breathe as long as you're alive.
And we'll have links for the apprenticeship and all that, like my page, your page, all the pages.
It will be all the pages. We're still working on the final landing page and stuff, but it will be a 9-month apprenticeship.
It's definitely probably at least the first half. If you are an empath and you are struggling in dealing with everything going on around you, it's a very empowering class to learn how to deal with it, yourself, your reaction, and, just being able to be stronger in yourself and dealing with it, to where you're not always constantly feeling like you have to hide from it and you have to protect yourself from it, because you do not. You just have to learn how to deal with it in a proper way. And then you will no longer be hiding, wanting to find the perfect stone to stop everything, or the perfect thing, because you are the perfect thing, and you'll learn how to do it in the apprenticeship.
The way I like to describe it is entering into the world of being a Paco, because not all Pacos are shaman, not all shaman are Pacos. It is a practice of becoming this redistribution center of the energies of the universe. And you're taking these heavy energies that you come across, and you break it up, and you're sending it out, and you become this transformative being that you're just walking through, and you're constantly redistributing stuff as you go. And it doesn't, sometimes it will phase us a little bit, because we might have, like, somebody else's hoocha may have a medicine for us, something that we haven't dealt with yet. But that's nothing to be afraid of. It's like, oh, there's something else.
It's just another way to
but then
grow.
you have the tools to use it and to really dive into it. Let's see. I don't know about this. Someone was saying they have a degenerative neurological disorder. When you were showing the different tones, it hurt me. Is that because of my medical condition? It's possible. Like, if there's such a dissonance because of the nervous system that you're processing sensory data differently, it could be very off-putting. And in that case, there might be different frequencies you would start with, because there's nerve forks, there's meridian forks, and there might be, as a healer, you meet the person where they're at. And if something like that would be causing actual physical pain and everything, it's not necessarily something you want to push through. It might be, well, let's take a step back and let's go to forks that are going to benefit just the body, or just using the osteophonic forks, maybe not where the nerve damage is, but there's other avenues that you might be able to take where frequency can play a role, because everything is frequency. And if something's causing pain, there's just some sort of dissonance where it makes it so uncomfortable, the body says, stop it. And so then the question is, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice could my body, being and beyond be, to start healing that with total ease? I'm going into access talk now. But anyway.
Different topic.
Different topic.
Back to point.
Back to point is there's a fork for everything. There's a frequency for everything. And it might just be starting with a different tone, or maybe just straight up energy work and doing something else. There's like 60 plus different body processes just from access. Then there's Reiki. There's other things that might be a contribution. Her disorder is symptomatic. If you email me, I can look into what that thing is and see if I can make a recommendation of sound. I'm not familiar with every disorder, so I can't speak off the cuff to it. Any final questions? And thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is a lot of fun. I tell Melissa we should do streams more often.
Well, we never get around to planning the times and the dates.
That's true. That is true. Reiki, see, I told you. Yeah, Reiki. And, if Reiki was discovered in Peru, it would be called Kanchai. It's a lot of the same information that is discovered through a lens of a different culture. And there might be nuances and things that are really special to that one culture, but underneath it all, it is all the same energy of the Kausai Pacha, this field of living energy. And if it were in Peru, it would be Kanchai, and there would be different tools. One of the symbols of Reiki actually has shamanic roots. So like if you go back, it's like the symbol for the Muki is a little green spiral. Ooh, I won't do it because we don't want to find any Reiki teachers out there if we get a symbol.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So anything else?
What I can think of.
She's trying to think of something.
I am. I'm trying to think of like, what would my customers ask if they were coming in and asking about the forks and you weren't here? And I go, come back Thursday and talk to Hank.
Yeah, because that happens all the time, actually.
Well, you've seen, he's like the walking encyclopedia of forks and bowls and all of the noises.
I don't just buy all the forks, I use them all.
And then I hear about it through the wall. Like when you got the didgeridoo and all that.
Yeah, I got those too. She doesn't like that at all. That's one of my favorite things though. Have a person on the table playing the didge and then hitting the gong in between breaths because I can't do the circular breathing. Oh yeah, she's getting all agitated just thinking about it. She wants to hang on to her hoochie. That's fine. You don't have to hit this.
No, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's not just it's yeah.
That's because she's an alien.
Probably. If you do come to this year apprenticeship is hybrid, online and in person, right? Is next year going to be the full numbers?
Next year, the way we're doing it, it's a 9-month virtual apprenticeship, and then as a separate standalone thing, you could come for like a week-long retreat, which is in part going to be dependent on the whole COVID situation, because there are some things that are not teachable or not teachable, but are not experienceable, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Well, it's a word now if it's not online, because it's like so we're going to have like a week-long thing in West Virginia, but that could be like if you come for the in-person thing, that could be standalone. If you just did the online thing, that could be standalone, and then we're going to offer like a combination pricing for that.
Well, the reason why I was asking is because there's a couple weekends where Zane's like, bring all your noisemakers, and in my head I'm like, damn it. And I always sit close to the door in case I just can't tolerate it.
She did really well last time. I thought she was going to leave, but she did.
Everybody's blissed out, and I'm sitting there like foot tapping, like, are we done yet?
Yeah. And for people who are called to that work, but you don't want to do like a whole apprenticeship, I also bring students to privately. And like, there's like, you could break it down into 7 weekends worth of initiations. And so that's also, and Melissa teaches it too. She doesn't advertise it, but maybe.
Just saying.
Maybe. But she's had the training to teach it as well. And sometimes we might even teach it together depending on the circumstance, because there's definitely a cool thing about working together with a partner type of thing.
And the cool thing is too, though, with you and I being around, like I've had some of the students like schedule time to come in and be like, can you re-explain that weekend? Or can you do this? It's tutoring, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
It's all good stuff though. But if you're called to it, I can't recommend Zane enough. The depths of the man's mind is perplexing to me. Like you think I know a lot about forks. That's how he is with all these different variations of shamanic traditions, because he's trained. He's even doing learning another one now from Japan, like a native tradition. And so it's just like he has all these different knowledge bases, and that's why it's called the Katari tradition across cultural shamanism. It's based on a lot of the Pakokuna work of the Carol high up in the mountains, but also has the Curandero work. It has the Westgar tradition in it. There's all kinds of things that are blended together to make this synergistic, beautiful melting pot of all South American traditions. And then he also has trainings from Sansei and other things that he brings to the table. So there's like a melting pot of possibility. I like that.
And if you sit through the program more than once, like it's always different. Like there's the basics that are always there, but the information that you get each time is different. So that's one reason I like sitting in person with him.
Yeah, see what happens with an off-topic question. Like we went on a whole thing on
and I was just laughing to myself, like we're gonna have to edit this if we want this to stay strictly.
Well, we can just chop the first part and then keep the second part separate. So
wait, now we have 2 discussions out of this one.
Yeah, 2 or more. Yeah, and someone says didgeridoo is good stuff. Yeah, I love the didges. And they even have ones that you can adjust and you can get different tones. So there's tunable didgeridoos. And they're plastic. I have one that's like the actual eucalyptus one. And then I have a portable one that's only this big, but it has chambers that go back and you get the full sound. And then I have a tunable one so you could actually make it the heart chakra frequency, for example, and like tone that into the person. And it creates all kinds of different wonderful benefits. Cool. I think we've given them enough, right?
Yeah. If you have any questions about anything that makes a noise, this is your guy. If you come in on Thursday and ask me, I'm going to tell you to come on Thursday and talk to this guy.
And my website, well, you can get to me through the store page. If you go to goddessluke.com under the reader healer section, there's me. And then you can click over to my website. But if you remember my name, hanksutala.com, that's me. The website's currently being revamped, but all the relevant links are there to find my YouTube channel or book an appointment or find the center website. So cool. But thank you all for hanging out. And I look forward to doing these again. Which one do I play for you out?
Any of the ones that are in that top right.
All right. So
any of the bottom three.
Bottom three. All right. So thanks so much. And we will see you soon.